He wants to jump
1,000 cars. Sir, you have 1,000 cars.
I don't think I'd attempt to try this stunt.
Or we owe this horsepower to Uncle Sam.
Too many cars.
car. Roses would be.
Like I put my beer belly on it.
If you can't immediately tell somebody how many cars you have.
You'll really give those uppity yuppies something to think about.
Stay on the bar. Don't go off the bar with your Bronco.
1980 Volvo horns. What's right?
Yeah.
I want to have a man's coolant.
And he's like, oh, I thought it'd be small. It's for a small car. And I'm like, yeah, but it's still an automatic transmission. They're never going to be light.
It's definitely going to have to crash.
Starting off with Brad buying another car.
That's the West.
Internet. You know, is this a Nigerian oil print?
I also wish you drove a tan Camry.
Anyways,
Anyway,
that's a
horrible,
very
horrible podcast content.
very
Talking about a picture.
inside joke. Welcome to another episode of Auto Off Topic. Hello, Brad.
Good evening, Andrew. How was life on the East Coast today?
It's pretty great.
Excellent.
Yeah. Let's see. I did a track day last week. That was what we were talking about. I did it the day after we did last week's episode.
Correct. At New Hampshire Motorsports Park, New Hampshire Motor Speedway. What do they call it now? NHMS? New Hampshire Motor Speedway?
NHMS, New Hampshire Motorsports.
Yeah, New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
New Hampshire Motor Speedway. Durr.
Yeah.
Durr.
Yeah.
Yeah. I don't know. There's like, Thompson. It's like Thompson Motorsports Park or Lime Rock Park or.
Just sounds fancier
there's
being Motorsports Park, not Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
Motor Speedway sounds so old.
It does, yeah. New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah, I can hear the MRN announcer right now.
Yeah. It's like
saying just
that,
like that.
Shoot. What was the movie where they rob the Speedway?
Lucky
Lucky
something. Logan Lucky, there you go.
Charlotte Motor Speedway. Something like that.
I'm surprised I pulled that one out because I saw that movie, I think, on an airplane just flying between here and Massachusetts once.
No, I think I
Totally
made you
randomly.
watch it again. We're at your house. I think we're hanging out.
Oh, I don't remember. Maybe I've seen it twice. But it is an entertaining movie, so.
Yeah.
But my brain went Lucky Hank, but I was like, no, that's the show with what's his name? From Breaking Bad.
I don't even think it's
lawyer.
called Lucky Hank.
The TV show is.
It's called Sneaky Pete, isn't it?
Nope. Sneaky Pete's a different show. Lucky Hank's a new show, just came out this year. It's definitely called Lucky Hank.
Weird.
Sneaky Pete was out like, I don't know, 10 years ago.
Weird.
Lucky Hank is a show that just came out last year. Or actually, it just finished. We just finished watching it because we recorded them all because it was good.
Yeah.
It's a recommended show if you get a chance to watch it. I think it was an AMC show.
Oh.
So
We're already
it's
off.
the lawyer from. It's fine. It's the lawyer from Breaking Bad, whose name I can't remember right now.
Oh, Bob Odenkirk.
Yeah, Bob Odenkirk. Thank you.
Yeah. Better Call Saul. Yeah.
Yeah, Better Call
Another
Saul.
amazing show. Yeah.
So, yes, but it's him.
But he's also
as
in another amazing show. He's got Triples of the Nova.
This is true because triples are better. Anyway, he plays an English professor, and he's like head of the department, and he's just kind of a. It's a very.
Oh yeah. I remember seeing
It's
the
a
promos for it.
dark. Yeah, it's a very dark comedy. I wouldn't. It's not like a laugh out loud comedy. It's like a dark comedy, It's a serious drama with a little bit of lightheartedness, but it's pretty dark, and it focuses pretty heavily on mental health. It's pretty good though.
You should watch The Bear then.
Yeah, I've been told. I haven't seen that one yet. It's only so much time to watch. So many good shows coming out now.
New Justified is really good.
Yeah, we're watching that as well. So we haven't watched this week's episode yet, so don't say anything. That's after we record this podcast. That's the plan. Yeah.
Anyway, we're already beyond. Back to my track day.
Well, no, we can tie that back into car stuff because
Sure.
one of the cool things about Justified was he used to drive that Lincoln around everywhere, and he doesn't have that in this new season. I don't like that.
He doesn't have a
Because
car.
Lincoln
He's
died.
not in his city.
Right. Right. He needs his Lincoln back, though.
But they're in Detroit, so there's a
Anyway.
lot of like some cool American stuff.
The bad guy steals old muscle cars all the time. Yeah. Because it's a totally normal thing for a guy outside Detroit to have a 70 Chevelle with a deer strapped to the trunk.
Maybe.
But, maybe. Big maybe on that one. Maybe 25 years ago.
I like that the
Or
judge has a brand new Cadillac.
45
That's a
years
pretty
ago.
funny thing.
Yes. Yeah. Yeah. Very judge-like car in Detroit. Anyway, now we're off topic. Track day. New Hampshire Motorsports Speedway. New Hampshire Motor Speedway.
Yeah.
How did it go?
It was good. Another track night. It was cool because it was a Friday night. Well, it wasn't great because it's a summer Friday night, and that is the direction that everybody goes to the lake. So, like, the traffic was kind of crummy, even leaving at like noontime. But
you know what, though? It wouldn't have mattered because if you did it on a Sunday, you would have had to drive back in that same traffic. So,
yeah, that's true. Or like maybe a Saturday afternoon, you kind of get stuck in that traffic too. But because people doing week-to-week rentals, you check out at 11. So,
sure.
Yeah,
the problem is there's really no good way to get north other than 95, and it's just a parking lot. So,
well, it's good because I went 93.
That's what I meant, 93. Sorry. Listen, I haven't lived there for 4 years now. I forget what's what. 93, excuse me.
But I haven't run that track in over a year, and it was funny. The first session, they like did something like the way the guy was explaining it in the driver's meeting. He's like, "Oh, we're running the double chicane, so we're not going on the NASCAR curve." And I was like, "I'm pretty sure we always run it that way for track nights. I guess other groups will run turns 1 and 2 of the NASCAR, the NASCAR 1, NASCAR 2. I guess you'd call it."
Okay. Yep.
For like the faster time attack clubs,
Sure.
right?
You would get some serious speed running that in if you had like a brand new Mustang or something.
Yep. And so like they like messed up setting up the cones, and then we didn't do like a reconnaissance lap or anything. They just sent us out, and I was like, "Yeah, this feels a little weird." I was apparently cutting it on the inside of where the turn was, basically the entire session. Like a couple people were behind me, like I thought they blew the corner because they went by me under braking, but they were just actually taking the correct part of the course.
See Andrew in the car, all frustrated. Man, everybody's blowing this corner. I nail it every time. I don't understand why everybody else is so bad.
And then afterwards, I'm like, some guy was like, "Oh, you're missing that corner." I was like, "What? What are you talking about? You were blowing by it." He's like, "No." I'm like, "I don't know. That's." So then I go to the people running it. I'm like, "What's up with turn 1?" He's like, "Oh, we're fixing it. We're putting the cones out." I was like, "Why don't you like flag me and like tell me what's going on?" Like,
yeah, they're just like he's out there running his own race. No worries at all.
Well, they're like, "No, like literally everybody did it." I was like, "All right." It was like our fault, but it was fine. So we just let it go. It's like, okay,
all right.
And then I was like, "Well, that's why it felt so weird."
Well,
I'm like, "This feels weird. Like, why does this feel different than?"
I do appreciate that you stuck to doing it the wrong way, even though you saw the other guy doing it the other way, and like this is weird. It didn't like.
It still felt sort of right because the way you could take it, there was a rumble strip on the outside of you, and then you still had to make another. It was still like a chicane. It was weird.
Okay.
Yeah, it was like.
I guess it's probably hard to explain without having been there and seeing it in person.
It is hard to explain because there's like a ton of cones set up, and it looked like. And they have cones set up so that you don't go onto the banked. I mean, New Hampshire doesn't have a lot of banking, but it is a banked corner. They have cones so you don't go out onto there. So to me, it looked like that was blocked off. So I don't know. It was anyway.
It's not like they're timed laps at the end of the day, and you weren't in the way of anybody. So
no, second and third sessions were fine. I ran them the correct way. They brought the inside cones all the way out to direct you into the chicane, which was like,
okay,
I don't know. I think the guy that was running it was confused because like maybe he was thinking like we're all road racers and that we had run the other way before, because apparently like a bunch of Spec Miatas and stuff and like Formula V's were showing up to doing like their weekend races, and those like those series that are run by the SCCA have never run the double chicane. And I think that's where the guy got confused. and explaining it to us.
He just assumed, he assumed everybody ran it that way normally.
Yeah, he's like, we haven't run the double chicane in like 10 years, and I was in the driver's meeting. I'm like, what is this guy?
I did it
talking
last
about?
year.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I'm like, Track Night always runs that, but I like didn't know enough to like question it.
Sure. And then you went out there and something felt different. So you're like, oh, that's supposed to be what he was talking about.
Yeah. Whatever.
And everybody else crashed. And you were like, haha, everybody.
So anyway, it ended up being, I keep running intermediate because it's funny. Like there'll be a ton of people in beginner now and a ton of people in expert. Nobody in intermediate. There was 8 cars.
Well, I think a lot of that has to do with ego.
Yeah.
Because you get people in there their first time, like, yeah, I'm a beginner. And then once they've done it 2 or 3 times, they're like, I'm basically Jeff Gordon. I can do whatever I want. I'm an expert. So they put themselves into expert, and nobody's willing to run in the intermediate class. That seems that way in a lot of things. It's just that whole, human ego is just too much to say, like, yeah, I'm average. Like, no, I'm either, I'm just trying this, or I nailed it. I'm the best. Everybody got out of my way.
Literally.
So I think you're probably doing the right move by staying there.
Well, by the 3rd session, there was 5 cars. We just spread out. I didn't have to I got pointed by like once because I caught a couple of people or twice, but then the majority of the time, completely open track, just doing laps, nobody around me.
You were in the Infinity, right? Not the lot.
Perfect.
So that's pretty good. You caught some people then. Were they other similar power cars?
WRX, Miata.
They were truly intermediate, not experts, and you were you did a little more than they have.
I mean, it doesn't matter.
No,
so the same instructor did make a point that made really good sense to me about what a track night is, or just a casual track day. And I never put this together before, and I was like, oh, this makes perfect sense. So when you go skiing, you get to the mountain, they don't slap a race bib on you, and you go do the slalom and try to win it, right? You go out and you just find your trails, and you try to find like not crowded trails and just do your runs. And like that's the best part of skiing is when it's not like a busy trail and you can just carve back and forth and just go down the trail.
My one-time skiing did not have any of that in it, so
well,
move on.
Hopefully if you do a track day, it goes better than your one-time skiing. So
yes, hopefully.
But that's the same vibe where you're just like, or maybe if like mountain biking, I don't know, you didn't do too well mountain biking last time. I went mountain biking with you either.
No, I did better than you did. I made it to the bottom of the mountain at least.
You yard sailed it down the mountain.
Well, at one point I did, yeah. But hey, know what I did? Because I was trying. So,
but same idea. Matters. You weren't gonna win the mountain bike race because there wasn't one.
No, that's very true. Very true. I went faster through that corner than anybody else did, though.
Yeah,
that's the problem. Anyway, yeah, no, you're 100% right. It's go out, enjoy the thing you enjoy doing without fear of law or hopefully an insurance claim. It's just or for the fear of driving off a cliff doing a mountain road or something.
Yeah, I feel like too, because this is my first track day after the Nürburgring. I was remembering stuff that the guy was showing me, and I felt like my driving was smoother. I was using more of the track. Like, I noticed
and you were able to because there were no other cars.
Yes, but when I was at the Nürburgring, he was basically correcting. I was like overturning the car, where he's basically showing me like you have all of this track, just use all of the track, so you don't have to turn the wheel as hard to go around the corner.
Yeah, straighten the turn out even further than you already are.
Exactly. So that's what I was starting to do, and you're wearing the tires less. It feels like because you're not being as aggressive. You're not being overly aggressive trying to turn the car. It's actually like better. So, I wasn't having the rear come around too much because I was really paying attention to having all of my braking in a straight line and then turning after the weight transfer. So felt like I got my money's worth out of those 10 laps that Nürburgring really.
Guess that means you're an expert now.
Not an expert, but it's like if you golf a lot or something, or even skiing, maybe you go with like an expert, or have like, I don't know, people like talk about like getting coaches for stuff, even if they're not like professionals. Just having somebody else look at what you're doing is valuable if you want to get better at it.
Photography all the time.
What's that?
We talk about photography all the time. We talk about photography all the time, and having somebody else, look at your work and critique your work is the same kind of deal. Like, you're never going to get better if you take the same picture every time and you think it's perfect.
Yeah. So a lot of people haven't had somebody give them valid criticism.
Right.
And it shows.
Right. They take the same picture over and over again, and they post the same pictures and sell the same pictures, and there's no variety to them. So it's the same kind of thing. Like, you get somebody out there who's, Mr. I'm an expert track driver, and it's only because they've done it 15 times and nobody's told them doing anything wrong, and he's blocking everybody and not getting out of the way and has a weird liner on every corner. So it certainly can happen in anything. I'm sure there's golf people that are the same way. Everybody knows one person who's like, oh, I'm the best golfer there ever has been. And then you actually see that person out golfing and they can't hit the ball in a straight line. So, not that I play golf, but
I feel like I could be really good at pickleball. Like,
you are a middle-aged white guy, so that does check out.
I'm just looking at, I'm like, man, I could totally roll some of those retirees.
Yes. Yeah, exactly. I don't know. They have all day to practice, Andrew. So
they do, but I mean, how hard can that be? Really? Like, that's the type of overconfidence I'm trying to avoid on the track.
Have you ever played tennis?
A little bit. I'm really good at badminton. I feel like pickleball is kind of more like badminton.
Okay.
Because it's like a wiffle ball. Like, it's slower than the tennis ball.
All right. I don't really know. Apparently, pickleball is a huge trend right now.
Oh my god,
and I didn't understand it. Yeah. So a lot of the parks here have pickleball courts, and you'll drive by at any given time, and they're just full of people playing pickleball.
Yeah.
So didn't even know it was a thing.
How could you not? It's like
I don't know. I wasn't paying attention to the right things, I guess.
There's like fights between tennis players and pickleball players. Oh my god!
Yeah, because the pickleball players are taking over the tennis courts. Yeah. That's what we've seen.
Pickleball gangs.
Yeah, it's good times. Good times. Anyway, yes, I understand what you're saying. That is the overconfidence that you don't want to have on the track.
Yeah.
Because if you're overconfident in pickleball, you just get beat by a 75-year-old retired lady. If you're overconfident in a racetrack, you get beat by a cement wall.
Yeah.
So it's a big difference. So I haven't done any track days, but I did take a drive today up into the mountains. Yeah. And I did a little personal track day. So that was fun.
What'd you drive?
I had the 944.
Even with the intake leak?
Honestly, the intake leak is a problem at idle, but when you're on throttle, it's fine.
Okay.
So it's a vacuum leak. The part is unfortunately not here. It'll be here tomorrow. So I'm going to change that part tomorrow, but it runs good enough on the throttle to not be an issue. It only just idles funny, so it wasn't a problem.
That's the one thing I wish I could hear the G20. I wish I could hear it outside the car at the track. I want to hear what the exhaust sounds like.
Yeah, especially the helmet on probably makes it tough, huh?
No, you can hear it, especially up against the wall. But I want to hear it from like behind the car.
Spectator mode, yeah. Yeah, well, the car sounds really good, so I'm assuming it sounds good.
Yeah.
But the 944 sounded really good up in the mountains, that's for sure. I mean, that thing at higher RPM sounds pretty good. And hopefully I still have it next time you come to visit, because I'd like to give you another go in the car somewhere other in the city. Because this is the first time I've ever really taken it anywhere like that, and really kind of pushed it. And it definitely came alive a little more than I thought it was going to. It was super fun, and just the way the car is set up, you can feel everything working under the car. Like you can feel when the the outside rear wheel is tucked up and gripping as it goes around. You can just feel it. The car handles really well in that scenario, which I'm not surprised it does. It shows its true colors in that scenario. It's a little less tossable than, say, a first gen RX-7 still, but it's very confidence inspiring. And I was driving very hard and didn't have any qualms at all about doing it. It was a very fun mountain car, especially in the section between on 89A between like Yarnell and Prescott, where it's super windy, all switchbacks, some neat kind of off cambered in and out S turns, and the car was a blast. So I would definitely encourage you to drive the car again next time you're out here in that scenario, because I was definitely not underwhelmed, put it that way. It was very fun. So I enjoyed it. It sounds good. It has decent power as long as you're in the right gear in the mountains up there. It's fast enough to be fun without being so fast that you'll careen off the cliff. So it was good. I just hadn't done that yet, so don't know why I hadn't. It's only an hour away. It's funny, we were talking about that in the Discord the other day too, about distance to fun driving roads, and I just hadn't gone up there yet. So highly enjoyed. And I want to do it and everything. It wasn't my first time up there. It was just my first time in a while and my first time in that car. So it's good. Good time.
Yeah, so
Not a
speaking
track
about-
day.
All right. Yeah, not a track day. Yeah, the car did really well. It was, 90 degrees out, super humid, perfectly fine.
Good car is good.
It is. I did buy some speakers for the back, because they were I
Okay.
opened the trunk, and the speakers just open to the trunk, right?
Sure.
And I looked in the trunk. I was like, "What are those foam pieces?" It's the diaphragm of the speaker. They're
Oops.
so blown out. Yeah, I noticed they were blown out after I put the new head unit in, and they're just disintegrated into the trunk. So,
Nice little tinny sound back there.
oh yeah. And I think it's just
What
because
did
the
you go with
sun
speakers?
beats down on the package tray and then probably destroyed them.
Yeah, the car's a 95, so it's not like it's
Yeah.
new. But what did you go with for speakers? Did you buy 4 speakers or just rears?
Just the rears for now, because I was like, I don't think the fronts are blown out. We'll find out. And I was
Sure.
like, I don't want to take the door panels off right now. I'll just do the rears. I don't know. They're just some
Did you go
$50
with,
speaker on Amazon.
All right.
We'll see how it goes.
I mean, they're probably pretty fine. They
probably are fine.
better
I
than
was
what was
like-
in there. So
They're probably
Yeah.
I don't know. They probably have Sony guts. I don't know.
yeah, it's Sony guts.
The
Everything
ones
on
that are in
sale.
there, the factory ones are Clarions.
Okay.
Yeah,
They
I don't know
were,
what these
now
are.
they're-
These are like DX something speaker. I don't know. It's a 6-inch
Perfect.
speaker, $50 for a pair, 2-way.
I feel like $50 is the generic price for speakers for since the 90s until now. So
I don't know. They're
I
not
haven't,
like they're more. They'll take more wattage than what was in there, but not more than what not like the head unit cannot put out more than what they can take. So
right.
probably
You probably
fine.
couldn't add an amp, but it's fine with the head unit.
yeah, actually, there's a factory amp in there.
Is it wired in through the aftermarket radio?
Yes, because
Okay.
remember we had this whole thing where I bought the radio, it didn't
Oh,
work.
yeah. Yep, I do.
So like the thing that powers the amp would also power the antenna. So the antenna doesn't work anymore because I had to disconnect it.
Right. I remember now.
Not that you would listen to the radio in the car because it's kind of silly, but
Well, I mean, on your long commute to the racetrack and back, you would.
yes,
So.
or I could just listen to a podcast through the
Oh, you mean you wouldn't listen to AM/FM radio?
yeah.
Okay. When you said radio, I thought like you wouldn't use the radio at all because the car sounds good. Gotcha.
All right,
You wouldn't use the radio.
head unit,
Radio. Yes.
not a radio.
You would listen to the head unit,
It's a-
but you wouldn't listen to the radio.
A generic term, radio.
Yeah.
The radio
Well,
that comes
every
through my
radio
phone.
station. Yeah, every radio station in the Boston market now is country anyway, isn't it? So
No, there's still a couple rock stations.
Super generic ones.
But I don't know. I just plug my phone in every car, so it doesn't matter.
Yeah, I couldn't tell you the last time I listened to the radio, like an AM FM broadcast. Maybe when I was working at the Ford dealer, getting in a car, the radio was turned on. But the last time I ever did,
Yeah.
not any of my cars, that's for sure. Most of my cars don't even have antennas hooked up, so if they even have radios. So it's 2023. You don't need radio anymore.
Nope.
Find your own entertainment.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have any project car updates, Andrew. All I did was I plugged a flat. That's about as deep as I've gone.
Oh.
I had a sheet metal screw was in the tire, the right rear tire of the 944, and I ignored it for way too long because it's been so hot out. But it was leaking like 5 to 10 pounds a week.
Yeah.
So I was like, whatever. And I was just putting 5 to 10 pounds in every Sunday. And then all of a sudden it was like 5 to 10 pounds on the daily. I was like, I should probably look into this. So it was like a sheet metal screw that was in the tire, and it had been in there long enough that it was worn down to almost nothing. And as it wore down, it was no longer as well sealed as it was. So that's why it was losing more air. So it was in the middle of the tire, so I was able to plug it at least. I did realize that my generic 3/8 drive extension apparently has a less than 90 foot-pound shear force breaking point. Because I definitely broke that torquing the wheel back on. So,
Weird.
Yeah, quite weird. I don't know what it should have been. I mean, 90 foot-pounds isn't like a super aggressive amount, so it shouldn't have broken, but it did, and it hurt quite a lot because I already have a injury to my left arm. So when I was torquing the wheel back on, and it snapped, and everything went flying forward, and I basically punched my arm into the wheel. It was not a good time, but tire's sealed now. That's all that matters.
Yeah. So when you look for
I didn't do much else.
before when it was going flat?
What happened? It broke up there for a second, Andrew. I'm sorry.
Yeah.
Wouldn't
Why
look for
wouldn't
what?
you look for a nail before when it was going flat?
Because it was 200 degrees out.
Oh, but you said it was going flat like every couple weeks.
Yeah, it's been like probably a month since it started doing that. So for the first 2 weeks, it lost 10 pounds a week.
Yeah.
And I just put
why
10
wouldn't you
pounds in
just
on
look
Sunday.
for a nail in it then?
I looked, I didn't see anything. So I didn't want to crawl around the ground. It was so hot out. And I was being lazy, Andrew. That's all there is to it. It was, it's instead of taking the 30 minutes to take it off, plug it, and put it back on again, I wasted 10 minutes every few days putting air in a tire. So I was being lazy. That's a fully admitted self-owned problem right there. I was putting it off because I didn't want to deal with it. So when it got to the point where it was leaking too much, I decided now it's time to deal with it, even though it was still too hot, and I dealt with it. And then I saw what it was, and I was regretful for not having done it 3 weeks prior and just getting it taken care of. So, whatever. It is what it is.
Oh,
I
that's
was
what
able
happened.
to use my new tire plug kit.
Yeah.
What's that?
The Montero wouldn't start Saturday morning.
Oh, that's right too.
Yeah.
Does it start now?
It does start now, which is weird. I was like, oh, I got to go to Home Depot or Lowe's, whatever it was, and get some fence pickets. And I don't want to put them in any other car because they're dusty and they're 6 feet long. They're full of sawdust. So I'll take the truck. And I get in it, wouldn't start. Click, nothing. Been doing this intermittently for a few months, very rarely. And you kind of shake the shifter and it would do it. Would start. And I was like, that's kind of weird. I already put an ignition switch in it when it was doing it before. I tightened up the shifter, make sure it was in park. I had checked like the Prindle adjustment, the neutral safety switch adjustment, like when I first got the truck because it was doing it a lot. It has a new start, has a reman start in it from like 18 or 19. So I was like, that's kind of weird. But then it just wouldn't do it. And I was like, whatever, it's too hot. I'm not dealing with this right now. I'll look at it later. I ended up taking the wagon. I measured first that I could fit.
Which, spoiler alert, it fit the boards in it. Yep.
Yeah. But now there's a bunch of, even though I like knocked them off in the parking lot, there's still a bunch of sawdust in there, which is annoying. I have to clean up. But anyways, Sunday was a lot cooler. So I go out like before the NASCAR race and I was like, all right, let me check this thing out. Wouldn't start. I'm like, all right, cool. Double check the battery, 12.5 volts. All right. Looking at the starter. I can see like the wires are still on it. I don't know. I'm like, I don't really care that much because the truck, it died where I parked it. Like I happened to back it into. I don't normally back it in. Like that's the other thing. So Friday, I had taken it in the morning and gotten a sticker for it, which was cool.
Okay. Which it passed.
It passed. I was like, perfect. And that I did like a bunch of start stops like around town, like did all my stuff. And then, Saturday morning wouldn't start. So I'm like, that's weird. I'm like, well, you know what? Let me try hitting the starter like that. Everybody says that's never worked for me ever. So I go into there, I tap the starter a couple times, get in the truck, starts up. Okay. So I don't know.
First time for everything.
My dad and I have to look at it because it seems to think maybe the solenoid's sticking or something, or I don't know. We'll double check.
I mean, if you hit it and it started, that's more than likely what's happening.
Yeah, and maybe it's because the truck sits. I don't know. So like the starter doesn't get used enough.
The truck sits. It's humid there. It's not sitting over, like it's not on grass, but it's also not on pavement. It's on like the rocks. So
it drains
there
just
is
as
some
much
dampness down there. Yeah, but there is still some dampness down there in general.
Yeah, but it's like
probably just,
I don't know. It's not low. There's like 8 inches.
No, but I
it
mean,
and the ground.
It still stays fairly damp under the car for longer than everywhere else, and the car sits a lot, so it could be sticking. I wouldn't be surprised. You don't drive it every week either. It's only gets driven a couple times a month, probably, I'd say, and not at all in the winter. So it sits a lot. So I can see that being part of it. One more thing to worry about.
Yeah,
but at least it starts. So it's not anything too bad.
It's not in a spot like that was annoying, like that I had to deal with it, like to like move it right away. So
no, it died in your driveway, out of the way. It's not like it died at, the inspection station or anywhere you had to tow it home or tow it somewhere. So that's a good thing. That's a convenient breakdown if there ever is one.
Yeah, and then jumping around a little bit too, I think I talked about looking for track wheels for the G20 and the Galant because they're the same pattern and the same size. And I was having trouble finding 4x114 wheels and a front wheel drive offset. That would be good, like track wheels. And like,
you found some?
I've always wanted like T37s.
Sure.
But they're like super expensive. They're probably like, I don't even know if you can get 15s right now, if they're even available. Like it's hard to even find like a US dealer. Like I think I'd have to buy them from Japan, maybe one of the Japan sites. I don't know, like maybe right hand drive JDM or something. And from what I can tell, they're like, $400 to $500 a wheel, which is really expensive.
Yeah, I think that's about right.
Which feels too expensive for a track wheel. Like they feel like they're nice wheels. Cool. Like I mean, they're good enough to be track wheels, right? They're like nice wheels, but like I don't know. It just feels like those are like show wheels.
Well, they're definitely I don't know what exactly I'd call them, but they're definitely a very fancy wheel because of the price.
Yeah, but they are like a true motorsport wheel.
Yep.
but they're just like very expensive. Like they're like too nice to use. I don't know.
Evasive Motorsports sells them in 15 inches. They are $623 each.
Okay, yeah, so really expensive.
Well, it's the SL, which is, I don't know what the difference is. A super lap.
Super light, maybe.
There's like super lap. There's a bunch of different. There's the SL, the SL's Black Edition, the SB Tourer. SB's for truck, it looks like. Ultra Track, Ultra M Spec, Sonic SL. So there's a bunch of different TE37's wheels. I just don't know what the difference is in all of them.
Someday I'll own a set because they look cool. I've always wanted a set, but that someday is not.
No,
now.
they're very cool wheels. Yeah.
So I ended up going through Team Illuminata, who's the U.S. braid dealer, and I bought a set of 15x7. They're full race max lights.
So there's like the 8 or 9 spoke ones.
Yeah, they're like maybe the 10 spoke. They have a lot of spokes. They're like the rally wheel, but not as chunky. The spokes are a little thinner. Because a 15-inch wheel weighs like 14 pounds.
Oh, it's not bad.
No. And they have like the way they're designed to clear like big calipers. So if I moved them to a car that had bigger calipers or something, or had like put dual piston on or something in one of these cars, they would still fit. But yeah, unfortunately they only come in white. I kind of wanted silver, but silver's like they'll come in braids. Certain braids will come, like I guess the rally series of wheels I was told will come in like silver, gray, white. But like the track wheels will just come in white, and then their other thing is paint to match. Like you can just have them paint them any color you want.
Sure, like buying a brand new Porsche beta sample.
Yeah, but it's like $100 a wheel. And I was like, well,
it's $400 for a set of 4, which isn't
but
the end of the world. But at that point, you're getting closer to the price of a set of TE37s.
Yeah, and I was like, well, Paul, who runs Team Illuminata, I was like, I'm not paying an extra $100 a wheel just for silver. Like that's silly,
right?
And I don't want some like ridiculous color because it won't like. If I'm going to pick a specific color, it's going to like go with the car and only that car. I don't know.
And you put it on 2 different cars.
Yeah, I was like, I'll just do white.
Yeah, probably the best move.
So they're just basic white.
White will look good on both cars as well. So.
It will. It wouldn't look as good as like a anthracite or something on both cars, but.
So a standard set of TE37s, which is what I've now found, in, what do you say, 15x7?
Yeah.
15x7 offset 34 is under $600 a wheel, so $590 a wheel.
All right. Well, I'm still significantly under that.
Yes.
Because I was able to get 6 wheels for the price of 4 T37s.
Okay, so that's good. And it was the win race. What kind of win race was it you said?
I believe they're called the Max. I keep wanting to call them track lights, but I think they're max lights.
Yeah, track light is a Koenig wheel or something.
Yeah.
So that's win race S.
That might be called full race max light. If you look them up, there's pictures of them on like Civic Type R's. They look really good. And they run them on like
win race TA, and it's the full race C.
There's one that's a C.
Full race max light.
Yeah. The C is for lightweight cars, and the max light is for slightly heavier cars. Okay. Because I was worried. Yeah, I was worried that the max light or the one that's for the lightweight cars would not be strong enough for both cars because they're not super light cars.
3,300 pound Galant.
Yeah. So anyway,
these are cool wheels. I like those a lot.
Yeah, those would be cool. And then I got 6 of them because, like, I mean, they basically when you order stuff from Braid, they're like blanks. They drill them for you, and I think they mill the
center bore.
They'll do the center bore and then the backspacing. I think maybe they chop them or something. I don't know how they come up with it.
start with a
Because-
private cup. They at least have a couple different styles, because if you look at some of the different offsets, they have a deeper dish
Yeah.
on some of them
Yeah,
in the center.
but because it just says in the things when you're trying to request them, it's like 0 to like plus 55, or like -0 or something. It's like -55 to plus 55 or something. I'm like, well, how is that possible? So they must just have a bunch of different blanks that they can use.
Yeah, they probably have 2 or 3 different basic styles, and then they can make them exactly what you want from there. Is what I would guess.
But I like braids because
smart.
they're super strong. They'll put steel inserts in the lug holes so you don't pull through them.
Right.
Um,
I've always liked them. I love their Classic Series wheels, but the Classic Series wheels are
very expensive,
$800 a piece.
but they're cool.
So I've never
They're
bought
so
that.
cool.
They're super cool. At some point, I will have gone through a car enough, and done enough restoration and made it to the point where I'm willing to spend, $3,200 for a set of wheels for it. But that time has not happened yet.
I figured these wheels, they're wheels. They can go on other stuff, so it's like I'll just keep them.
Yep, and 4x1 14.3 is a common enough bolt pattern for things that you're going to own. So
They'd fit
you
in
already
Evo.
have them for 2 cars. Yeah, and you
Or
already have
Evo.
them for 2 cars.
Yeah.
So, right.
Yeah, I got just a 73 hub bore, very generic hub bore, so it'll fit a bunch of cars. I'll just use adapters.
Yep.
Um,
A
but-
centering ring.
Yeah, centering ring. So what I'll do, and this is the nice thing of having a set like this, I can then bring the set to the tire shop and have them mount tires. I don't have to bring a whole car, which makes it more
Well,
convenient.
yeah, you never really have to.
Well, yeah, but I'd have to have a car sitting on like jack stands, or I'd have to switch the wheels to the other like stock wheels or something. So it's easier just to have the set. I mean, I guess I'd have to switch them anyways, but you get what I'm saying. Like, I don't have to drop a car off. I can just drop the wheels off out of the back of the Montero.
Sure. Yeah, that's what I did on the Corolla tires. When I put the gold wheels in the Corolla, I just brought them to the tire store. I was like, "Hey, mount these, please."
Yeah,
So they look at you kind of funny, but whatever.
it's not that weird.
It's fine.
Don't make this weird.
Right. It is weird for them because they're just used to normal people who are coming for new tires in their car.
Yeah.
So I was like, "Hey, here's 4 wheels. Do you have tires in this size? I'll take them."
Yeah. But yeah, because I really like the 8 spokes I have on the G20, and I don't want to like beat them up doing track days with them.
Sure. Well, they're also old.
They're a little bit old, yeah, and they're probably, I bet they're like 20 years old.
Yeah.
And they could use a refinish, so it'd be nice to be able to take them off and have them refinished, because they're not
Sure.
they're not damaged, but like the paint on them is like cheap from the original paint, and it just has like chips around the edges from like mounting. It's weird. So just
Yeah, they
maybe
haven't been
What's-
super cared for, it looks like.
Well, they weren't like super beat up, but maybe the finish wasn't the best from the factory,
Right.
So like it'd be nice to like have them like powder coated in the same dark gray, and just so they look nicer.
Yeah,
And then I can put like regular, the Yoko Flavas or whatever. Our Flavias, our generic go-to small car tire, all rounder.
Yeah, it used to be the S Drive.
Yeah,
Whatever the replacement for the S Drive is.
Yeah. But the set I had on there I destroyed doing track days, which they worked pretty well actually. And the S drives that are on the Gallant worked pretty well on the track day, but a dedicated 200 tread wear tire would be a lot better. So
Yeah, Yokohama's got a new 200 treadwear tire too.
yeah, I'd like to try them out. That's the other thing. Instead of putting on Falcons next time, I'll try out the Yokos.
Yeah, it's a Nuova, an Advan Nuova, but I forget what the number is now. 80 something maybe. I was actually just watching AD09. AD09 is the track tire. So they're probably pretty similar. They're $170 a piece. That's similar to the Falcon.
What's that put you at it for a set of 4? Falcons are for a set of 4 is
$700.
around 400, 450.
Okay. Well, it's also the Advan 8008R. Maybe those are the equivalent to the Falcon, because those are $100 a piece.
Yeah, I'll try the Yokos this time around because I've always run the Falcons. I know what I'm getting. That's kind of why I keep sticking with them. It's like a really consistent tire. I mean, it's like, here's the thing. When you do a casual track day, it takes the stress out of like, you're not competing for time. You don't have to worry about like min-maxing everything and like getting the fastest 200 tread wear tire. You just want to stick
No,
your
you
tire.
want something that feels good and doesn't get ruined on the first time out there.
Yeah, and I felt like, because I smoothed out my driving style a little bit, like I wasn't overworking the Azenuses. Like I felt like they had a harder fall off before, but these, I don't know, this last time out, it felt really good. And who knows? It could be because NASCAR was just at NHMS and there's a lot of rubber on the main part of the track. I don't know.
Super sneaky. Yeah.
Yeah. But
Yeah. What size are you on? 205s?
205/50s.
205, 50, 15?
Yep.
Yeah. So the Yokos are about, yeah. So it costs you a couple bucks more than getting the Flevas to get the Advan Nuovas. So I think it's worth a try.
I tried for
I was actually
guitar.
just watching. So the magazine Super Street just came back with a TV show.
Oh yeah, I haven't watched it, but I saw the promo.
Yeah, well, it's the editor from the old magazine, John Nadzir, goes by Nads, and some time attack driver who I'm unfamiliar with, but apparently is a record-holding time attack driver. And it's actually not terrible, but they've only done like 2 episodes so far, and the second episode they built an FRS for doing a track day with, and they used the new Yokohama Advan Nuovas, and they like them a lot. So that was good praise. It ran like a 2-minute lap at Streets of Willow Springs, which I guess is fast. So on a 200 tread wear tire. So definitely, they said it was good. It looked cool in that car. So yeah, I know that show is
cool.
part of the Mototrend app. I don't know if it's going to be on the Mototrend cable channel or not. I'm sure it is, but it's not terrible. It was a good watch. So yep, and they're doing, basically they're talking about doing like paying homage to the tuner culture of the past. So they're not trying to like do all crazy new stuff. They're building a Civic into a Civic Type R clone, and they're doing like FRS stuff. They're trying to keep things, it seems, a little bit more budget friendly, and kind of like real world stuff, and nothing too flashy. Just kind of fun. They did a first gen RX-7 in the first episode, and it's fun to watch. It's good. It's good to watch.
Oh, all
They'll
right.
come into their own. Neither of them are TV people, but it's sometimes you need that.
All right, I'll check it out. No, I saw it advertised on the Mototrend channel, so.
Yeah, I didn't feel like I wasted my 20 minutes or 30 minutes or whatever it was. So,
All right, so speaking of new things that are coming out.
Yep.
Did you see the 2024 Land Cruiser?
I've seen pictures. I actually haven't had too much of a chance to dig into it. I'm a little confused by it.
Oh, yeah?
Well, it's a full frame, right? That's one thing I asked you last night.
It is the Toyota Prado. That's what
Okay.
it's based on. It is not the 300 series that replaced the
Sure,
300 series.
the 300
overseas.
series is still existing overseas.
Yes.
So, but we have a Forerunner here as well, correct?
Yep.
This is not replacing the Forerunner.
Nope.
It seems to be the same price structure for a very similar vehicle. I also noticed that it's a 4-cylinder hybrid. So
Yes.
it just, I don't know where it sits in the realm of existence. It seems like it's almost kind of a gimmicky thing, like an FJ. Not that the FJ is not a good vehicle. I'm just saying it's kind of, it doesn't need to exist because they already have the Forerunner, and this is kind of just like an extra thing. I don't know.
It's more usable than
sure.
Forerunner.
Is it US
or a not the Forerunner.
FJ?
FJ.
Why?
because it has 4 doors.
So does an FJ.
It doesn't have 4 doors.
Yeah, it's got sideways back doors.
Yeah, those are not 4 doors. It's like an
No, but
extra.
you can still get in and out of the back seat.
Yeah, but it's not like a
don't know.
4-door vehicle.
Right. So I when I first saw it, my first thought was, oh, it's a Bronco Sport competitor.
No, this is a
Turns
Bronco.
out I was wrong. Yeah, it's a Bronco competitor. But I thought the 4Runner was that already, which is why I'm confused.
No, I don't.
And
think
then
it's...
I also there's 2 different noses. There's a square headlight nose and a round headlight nose. Are they both coming to the States?
Yes. Okay. So the round headlight is available on the 1958 edition, which is the base.
Okay, sure.
And then it's not available on the mid-lit range. That gets rectangular headlights.
Okay.
And then the fully loaded top level one goes back to round headlights.
That's weird.
It's weird that you wouldn't just keep it with one fascia.
Yeah, because it looks way better.
It does.
If they're going for a retro look, clearly, and the round headlights have that retro style, and the square ones do not.
So here, this is from carandriver.com. 1958 comes with round LED headlights, LED fog lamps, 18-inch wheels, 245/70s. So those are fairly tall tire, but I feel like it should be like 17s or 16s with a fatter tire.
Well, it's a base model, and like the base model Bronco comes with weird tiny tires on it too. So,
well, those aren't that tiny because they're 18s and a 245/70. That's a pretty big tire.
but it'll be very street based, I'm sure.
Yeah. The next level Land Cruiser sports a different face with rectangular LED headlights and rigid LED fog lamps that can switch between white and amber light.
That seems gimmicky as well, but I kind of like it.
And then the first edition, which is the top level, goes back to round headlights.
That's interesting that they would do that, because you would think that the round headlights would be an upgrade. So the mid-level, they wouldn't come with the base one, but the mid-level one would have them.
Yeah, right?
Yeah. Strange. I mean, I prefer the base model 1958 or the loaded one, I guess. I assume it's called a 1958 because that's the year the first Land Cruiser came out.
That's right.
No answer, just a guess.
I said that's right.
I mean, because obviously they have the Tundra 17, or 1652 edition for the year the first Tundra, obviously. So
yeah,
that fits their corporate ethos.
But it's a
I like
4-cylinder hybrid, but it's 326 horsepower and 465 foot-pounds of torque.
Well, I mean, it's going to be better than a 4Runner then, because a 4Runner is a standard old basic V6, right? That's makes no power and gets terrible fuel mileage. So
yeah,
I have to assume the 4Runner is going to go away. It doesn't seem like there needs to be both. Maybe I'm wrong. I don't know.
The 4Runner feels like a real soccer mom mobile lately. I don't know.
Everyone I see is covered in racks with
That's true. I don't know.
traction boards and American flag stickers in the quarter glass. So I assume that they're all owned by Overland Bros.
I don't know.
The base model's cool. I dig it.
Yeah, it looks pretty cool. I like it. So what's interesting is it's a couple inches longer than a 4Runner, but it says shorter than a Ford Maverick. So if you've seen a Maverick, it gives you a little bit of scale. How big this
I have
thing
seen
is.
one.
Yeah. So
it's not very big, but the 4Runner feels way bigger than that. 4Runner feels like it's longer than a Maverick. That's interesting.
yeah, I guess I've never seen one next to each other. So
No, I definitely haven't either. The 4Runner seems like such a much bigger vehicle, maybe because the ground clearance is so much higher on a 4Runner than a Maverick. But if this thing's actually like Maverick sized,
yeah,
that'd be kind of a neat. That's a good size for a vehicle. It's not super big.
Nope.
With a 4-cylinder hybrid, hopefully it'll get decent fuel mileage, maybe. And it's still a full frame truck with a solid rear axle, so that's cool. So
yeah, and it's it doesn't come with a manual, which is a bummer. mean, that's what you get with
No.
the Bronco. You get a manual V8, which is cool, but you also get
The
atrocious
V8.
fuel mileage.
No V8 unless you get. You said V8. There's no V8. It's a 6-cylinder or 4-cylinder.
In the Bronco?
Mm-hmm.
I thought that was a V8.
It is not.
Really?
100%. It's an EcoBoost V6.
Huh. Could have sworn it was a
Yeah,
V8.
or a
I thought-
4-cylinder. Nope.
I thought it got a 5-liter.
It does not. In fact, I don't even think the Bronco Raptor does. I think that's also a turbo V6.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, Bronco Raptor, 3-liter EcoBoost.
Huh.
So there is no V8
really,
Bronco.
I really thought it was a V8 this whole time.
Nope, you can get a V8 Wrangler. You get the Wrangler 392, but they don't do a Bronco with a V8. And the base model Bronco is a 4-cylinder turbo, just like this thing is, but no hybrid.
Well,
So.
you can get a 4-cylinder turbo Wrangler too.
Probably. I
Well,
don't know.
that's-
I don't know enough about Wranglers.
Well, that's what we went for a ride into Moab. That was a 4-cylinder turbo car. Wrangler. So,
Yeah, man. It's funny. Every time we talk about new cars, it's quickly apparent to me how little I know.
yeah,
Like,
yeah.
I need to start reading Car and Driver or something. Like I don't know anything about new cars anymore at all. I had no idea what engine came in a new Wrangler.
But like,
I assume they were all V6s.
no, the way they had the thing geared and the turbo, it was like, you could have told me I had a V8. Didn't matter.
Yeah,
It was all in the gearing.
which
God
has
put
been the truck thing forever.
Yeah.
So.
I mean,
I had no idea.
Put the transmission in first, and the thing would just crawl up the side of the wall at Moab. It was like, didn't matter.
Yeah, gearing is everything when it comes to that kind of stuff. Huh. Now I'm super interested in learning a little bit more about these Jeeps just out of curiosity. I have no idea. I assumed they were all V6 or 392. I didn't think there was still a 4-cylinder base.
So like, to go back to the V8 or the engine in the Land Cruiser, the 200 series V8 made 381 horsepower, and now this new Turbo 4 makes 326. So,
all right, a base model Wrangler is a V6.
The V8 made less torque than the 4-cylinder does. Yeah,
just FYI. Base model Wrangler Sport, 3.6 liter V6. No 4-cylinder available.
right.
I don't know. Maybe the one you wrote in was from a different.
We did a lot of editing on this
generation,
episode
but-
because this internet is ticking me off right now. Finally.
Did you lose what I said?
No, because it's like keeps cutting in and out. I don't know what's happening here.
Oh, okay.
That's why we keep talking to each other. Super annoying.
All right.
Whatever.
Anyway, on Mopar's website right now, there is no Turbo 4 option. So
Okay.
unless I'm screwing it up, I'd have to do some more digging. We'd have to do some corrections next week and do a little more digging and find out.
Well, it was a
Speaking of corrections.
20 model that we wrote in, so
Okay.
might not be available anymore. I don't know.
Speaking of corrections, let me get this in there real quick. Last week we were talking about the car, the Bitter SC. And I said that it was from Sweden. It's actually German. So it's from a place called Schwelm, Germany. So I just needed to correct that real fast. But anyway, now that we're corrected, we can move on. So Toyota, 4Runner, not 4Runner, Land Cruiser. Land Cruiser was always bigger than the 4Runner. Now the Land Cruiser is going to be smaller than the 4Runner. Has a smaller engine than the 4Runner. But it's still called the Land Cruiser.
Way
It
down
is
in
not
price.
the full-size Land, but it's not the full-size Land Cruiser that's available in the rest of the world. So it's an American market Land Cruiser.
So Lexus is getting the same chassis, but those are getting twin turbo V6s.
Okay. And more money.
Mhm.
How much is this thing supposed to cost before crazy dealer markup?
Base is at 50,
Okay.
which is actually pretty good
it's
because
more-
right now a Land Cruiser started at like 90,000.
Oof, it's a lot of money.
Yeah.
But again, it was a much bigger vehicle than this with a V8. So you can get a base model Bronco for 35. So you can still get that much cheaper.
Okay.
But still, it's neat. I like the fact that there are new square boxy SUVs coming out.
Yeah.
You know,
Just,
we're not SUV people, but if we're gonna be SUV people, we might as well be an actual SUVs that can actually do off road things. So
yeah. Now, if only Mitsubishi would come out with some new stuff.
in this country, because they have everywhere else, they just don't give it to us.
Yeah, I don't understand. Hey, everybody else is selling body on frame stuff. Just make a new Montero.
Yep. Yeah,
Make a new
is what it is.
Mighty Max.
Well, let's hope Toyota is better at body on frame now, and these things don't just rust away in 5 years. So
Yeah, that's true too.
I assume they are. It's funny. I said earlier I thought it was like a Bronco Sport. I think it's because the release pictures they first showed of it are in that like baby blue color that looks very similar to the Ford Area 51 blue.
Yeah,
And with the pictures not showing anything else around it for scale,
exactly.
I just assumed it was small, like the smaller Bronco, the Bronco Sport.
Yeah, and I thought we were getting another crossover legacy name.
Yeah, I figured it was like the Corolla Cross with a square body on it. That's what I assumed it was getting. But no, it seems cool. I'm into it. Will I buy it? Nope.
You'll buy it
Am
20
I
years
into
from now
Yes, this is true.
out of some guy's
Maybe.
field in northern New Mexico.
And then won't be able to make it run for a year.
Well,
The cut deep, Andrew. The cut deep.
anyway,
Oh, new car stuff. We got one more new car to talk about from this week was announced as well.
yeah, the Nismo version of the Z.
Yes.
I like the way it looks.
It's all right. I don't like the red stripe around the bottom.
The red stripe is remember the Forester Sport from like
That's
5 years ago?
exactly all I thought about was the Subaru Forester with the weird red stripe. I don't like that. They say that the front bumper is extended out to like replicate the old
Yeah, it looks like it. I like it.
the Xenos 400.
Yeah.
The Xenos 240. It's all right.
I like it. It looks good.
I don't think it does enough over the traditional Z to warrant purchasing it, especially when you can no longer get a manual transmission with it. You can get the 3-liter twin turbo V6 with a manual in the regular one, but in the Nismo, the extra fast one, you can't get the manual, and it's not that much different as far as mechanical changes. It's only 20 horsepower more, which with a twin turbo you would think would be, tuners are going to be putting another 100 to 200 horsepower out of these things without even thinking about it, just by turning the boost up, right? So
Yeah, it's got some more chassis bracing, some different wheels.
yeah, I mean, it's got all the Nismo stuff, the wheels, the spoilers, the lip kit, the color options. I guess the difference is the different wastegate, and it comes with an oil cooler, or a bigger oil cooler, so it won't overheat on track. But again, all things that for the price difference, because you can buy a brand new Z for 42 grand or so, and this will probably be closer to 60.
Here's the thing: you don't do a lot of shifting on track,
right?
So like I get that point, but the problem is you want to use this car elsewhere.
Yeah, I'm not trailering it to the track. I want to have my manual to drive around.
It's more fun, to use a manual, and that's the same problem they've run into with the C8 Corvettes. Like they're pretty cool,
sure,
and people use them on the track, but it's like I don't know, just give it a manual. Like I said, not every lap needs to be the lap record.
And it never is. Once that record is set by the manufacturer, nobody who's buying the car is going out there and setting lap records. And if they are, nobody cares. So it doesn't matter anymore.
Yeah.
So I just, we can lament this all day long, the death of the manual transmission, I guess, but it is what it is. And at least the regular Z still
Well,
comes
it's
with
the
it,
same
like I said.
thing where what Porsche does it, they put the PDKs in because it makes the cars on paper very, very fast. And I'm sure having this transmission makes this car 0 to 60 time like really, really fast. And its quarter mile times
Well,
really, really
even
fast.
on the standard Z, the non-Nismo, the automatic transmission car is much faster than the manual transmission car from 0 to 60.
Yeah, and you gotta have that paper specs because the internet goes crazy.
Some people will buy that. Yeah.
And then they'll throw it in your face, even though like, oh, my automatic one is more faster, and you're like, I don't care. Like I literally do not care.
What's that? The backlot Corvette meme guy.
Yeah.
And he's like, my dad's Altima is faster than that, and he's like, I literally don't care. It does burn out and leaves.
Yeah.
So, no, it's the same thing. But at least you can still buy, like I said, a regular base model Z, which is a reasonably priced sports car in 2023. I did just look before we recorded, and there are some available at local dealers, so they are out there.
We were talking about. I haven't seen any around either. I've seen one.
Yeah, well, they've only sold like 400 of them in the States so far,
which is crazy.
And supposedly it's because there's been a production issue, which they're still saying the semiconductor chip shortage is to blame. But I've seen a couple articles and heard a couple people talking about the paint process being an issue, and they're having they changed the paint process to some new, environmentally friendly paint process for, zero impact on the environment, and they're having a problem with it supposedly. These are rumors I've heard and seen a couple articles about. Whatever the true story is, I think it's kind of tempered the enthusiasm for the car that not being available, because you can literally walk into a dealer and buy one with no markup. So I just was looking. Yeah, I was looking on cars.com for some for sale, and my local Nissan dealer has a 2023 in that like deep burgundy color, which is the best color, with a manual for 42 grand out the door. So I can't think of a better buy in the new car market right now than that, other than the fact that you're buying a Nissan. But it is what it is.
Yeah,
so I don't
know what else you would. You can't buy a Camaro. They're all gone, I think.
You can still get a Camaro.
Okay, they're not gone yet.
This is the last year of Camaro. You can still order a new Camaro.
Okay.
24 I think is the last year, and you can get a fairly cheap 4-cylinder turbo Camaro. You can still get a 4-cylinder turbo Mustang, probably in the same kind of price range as this, maybe even a little less. But this is a V6 twin turbo.
Yeah.
And you buy a base model Mustang, people are always going to say, oh, you should have bought a V8. If you spend the same money here on the Nissan Z, you don't have that same stigma because you have the twin turbo V6. There is no higher engine option other than the Nismo, which loses you your manual transmission. So I don't know. Not that I care what other people really think if I buy a new car. If I bought a EcoBoost Mustang, I'd be totally satisfied with it. But I think I'd rather have this because it's not a Mustang.
I don't know what I'd buy because I'd be cross shopping like a GR86 against one of these and a Mustang and Camaro. It's kind of a hard choice. Like, what do I want? Do I want a little bit lighter, more nimble, less power? Or do I want
you'd buy a 71 Volvo and a 2000? You'd buy a 71 Volvo and a 94 Evo and spend the same money and be all done.
Yeah, but I don't know. Sometimes
but that's the auto off topic way. Yeah, no, for sure. I think that given the options, I would go GR86 because it's cheaper. But knocking that one out of there and sticking in this $40,000 price range, I would buy this before the Mustang or Camaro. So it's different. There's less of them out there. I think it's more unique looking. Maybe it won't be. Maybe once production ramps up and these things are everywhere, like 350 and 370Zs. But right now, I like this car the most out of those. So, and I think if I bought the Mustang or Camaro, I'd want the V8, and then it's 15 grand more.
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to carry momentum on a track. It's also fun to accelerate really fast. So
okay, well, this isn't a momentum car either. It's not like it's a Miata level of horsepower. It's still, I mean, what's the car? It's going to be 400 horsepower still almost.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. So it's it's like
I think it's more power.
Yeah,
I think it's more power than the Camaro or the Mustang. So I don't know. I think it's cool. I'm into it. And it's twin turbo, so you can just boost the crap out of it, make a ton of power, I'm sure, and just have a dumb fast car. So I like it.
All right, cool.
Into it.
Anything else?
I really don't. I've been slacking on some project car stuff, and like I said, I have the parts coming tomorrow for the 944 intake manifold. Parts are still trickling in for the Corolla suspension. I have all of the rear stuff. The steering components are here. I'm still just waiting on the rebuilt front struts. And that's it. So, and I have parts actually to work on the 81 Cressida. I just need to get back there and do it. So hopefully I'll have some updates for you coming soon, but I just need to get the rest of the parts in and start working on things.
Cool. Well, as always, we have to do roll call.
As always, give the social medias.
I almost skipped out there. So, Auto Off Topic Podcast on Facebook, Auto Off Topic on Instagram. You can follow me on Instagram, Raced in Anger. And Brad, where can they find you?
They can find me on Instagram at TSISS350. On Scale Autocast, posting scale car stuff. Please make sure to follow our friend Bradley at Stripe Design. He's got all his new socks in. Trying to push those a little bit. Got a few new designs in, so check those out as well. It's Stripe with 2 eyes design. Unofficial sponsor. Our no money sponsor. Not sponsored. Sponsored by. Now, Andrew.
All right, cool.
Tagline away.
As always, keep your cars analog and names the roses.